Real quick, I do just want to do a quick little Unity quick tip of the week here. So this is something that's not directly related to the braid time rewind mechanic, but this is something that is kind of a newer feature to Unity ECS that I know Danny has used in a bunch of his sample projects for this show. But is this concept of this Unity object ref. So this is something that is actually really nice to have, because what we can do here is basically we create a component, and you'll see that this is a struct iComponent data. So this is an unmanaged data component. So this basically means that we can kind of, pass around this component and kind of use this in a parallel or burst context. However, the limitations with burst, of course, because the idea with this Unity object ref is this allows us to reference managed components, again, from an unmanaged state. So this is, I guess you could kind of think of it as like a pointer. So yeah, basically I just have, say, this debug UI controller. And then this debug UI controller is just a regular mono behavior here. And I have some things on here where I'm actually kind of, displaying some text on the screen. Like if I go back over to Unity, where I'm kind of like, showcasing some kind of debug information about, the particular index I'm looking at, and, how many bytes are in the simulation, as well as kind of the, play, pause, fast forward, rewind icons. But, yeah, so basically we have the regular mono behavior here. I have some functions on here for setting up the different UI elements and everything like that. So then I have this iComponent data, which has a Unity object ref to this debug UI controller. So basically, unfortunately, we are still kind of limited by we can't have like cross-scene references. So I can't just easily create like an authoring component where I could say drag a reference to this debug UI controller through the editor, to an object. So we have to have like another way to reference it. And the way that I've chose to do it, I know like Danny, I think he sometimes does, like he basically creates like a prefab and then instantiates the prefab from the ECS side. And then, you have that reference right there that you can assign to the Unity object ref. So basically what I've done is just, really simple, singleton type implementation where I have a public static debug controller. In Awake, I'm just setting the instance equal to this. And then, so then I just kind of have this initialized UI system. So then we just, make sure that, we actually have the instance here inside of our onUpdate. And then, what we're doing here is basically just doing a create entity and then doing an add component data. Is this happening every single frame? I'm not ever stopping this, am I? That might be a problem. So we can just say state.enabled. I guess I have to do a capital E. Was that right? Was that really happening every single frame? I didn't notice that. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyhow, basically we just get a reference to that. So then, you see that the component that we're just creating an entity here. We're adding a debug UI controller ref component, same way we would add any other regular iComponent data. And then all we can do here is just say value is equal to debug UI controller instance. And it basically automatically does the typecasting. So we don't need to say, get a new Unity object ref of this type, setting that value equal to the debug UI controller instance or whatever. No, we can just set the value directly here, just like that. So it's super nice. So that's basically, how we're assigning it. And then, the way that we actually use this is inside of, say, our onUpdate. We can look for anything with this debug UI controller ref, and then we basically now just have access to this regular mono behavior. So in here we can, go through, check some of our rewind data, and figure out the different things that we want to show on the screen. Here we're like calculating some bytes, and then down here at the end when we actually want to set it. Now we do actually have to do this like kind of double value thing here because we're referencing the component and then we do a dot value to get to the Unity object ref, and then do another dot value to get to the underlying thing that we're storing inside the Unity object ref. And then from here, we basically have access to do anything that we want to do with the mono behavior. So we just are setting our debug index text here like that. So it actually is pretty easy to use. They're very helpful. It's kind of similar to working with, say, a managed component, but I think there are some other advantages of it. Again, that being a unmanaged component that we can pass around and use as needed. Even though when we go a couple levels deeper, we get to that Unity object ref that it is, of course, can be an unmanaged type there. So then, yeah, you can see that, basically the end result of this is being able to easily display some debug information, set up our icons, everything like that.